Next, we're going to take a look at two of our other commonly used workflows, accounts production and corporation tax. Now, with our accounts production job, we can see we currently have a completion rate of 56%, and that might be entirely based on the work that's been done in the working papers and the data flowing through to my financial statements. This particular client we can see is preparing under FRS 102.1A. And if I open up the workflow for our accounts production work, you'll see that it's a very similar layout to what we've seen before with the working papers. And the same concept that we have green circles for anything that's reconciled or complete, and red triangle for anything that is unreconciled or requiring additional information. So let's take a look at this workflow. If I start with the general settings, what you'll see in there is that we've got some basic data for our financial statement. Some of that data will be pulled down from Companies House. So for example, the client registered address, the company name, registration number, and some other information as well, which I'll touch on. But some of the things that you might be doing here is things like checking whether the client's size has changed in the last 12 months. Are they still reporting as a small company? Or if we want to double check the criteria for those reporting standards, we can do that as well. And it's going to show us what the standards are for the current year. If I come back to the main screen, another example of where we might be using our Companies House sync would be with some of the directors' information. So if I come to the area where we can see statutory info, what you'll see in there is we've got the directors listed, and that data might be pulling through from Companies House. But again, I can come in and I can add any additional information as required. What we might then do is look at the overview of the financial statement. And this is where I can say what type of accounts I'm preparing. So is it a final financial statement? Is it a draft? Is it abridged? Is it filleted? And based on the choices that I make here, it's going to suggest what's going to be included in my statement. Now, SIlverfin will make those suggestions, but if you want to include some items which may be non-standard, you can simply tick those options to have them included as required for this particular client. Now, we were working earlier on the fixed asset register for this client. So what I'd like to look at here is the note on tangible fixed assets. And what you'll see is that all of the work we did on the fixed asset register has flowed through here to populate this particular note. Now, again, any blue numbers we can click on to get additional information about where that number has come from. And if I'm working in the accounts production team, but I haven't necessarily done the work on the working paper, what I can do here is I can link through to the source of the data that I'm looking at. So in this case, that would be the fixed asset register. I could link through to the fixed asset register and I could see the source of this information. I could even use the communication tab to add a message for the person who prepared this working paper and perhaps say, I don't understand this. Coming back to the accounts production area, we might also look at our accounting policies for this particular client. Now, with the accounting policies, once again, you can tick or untick to say what you want to be included. We can also add notes or additional notes on profit and loss where required. And you can free type these to your heart's content. If you wish to amend the standard wording against some of these notes, again, you would be able to do that. But as we do that, it is going to flag. So anywhere that there's some customizations, we'll have an orange tag in the top left-hand corner so that anybody else who looks at this note will see that there's been a customization there. Again, if this was a file that was going to go for review later, I might add a note in the communications section to say custom wording as discussed. Now, once we've finished with our accounts production job, and we've got a few more green circles here, we could send that file for review, and the review process would be the same as what we saw with working papers. Once we've reviewed the file and we're happy for it to go, we have the option from within here to do the IXBRL tagging and potentially submit that directly with Companies House from within the SIlverfin platform. Now, in this case, there are some unreconciled areas on my financial statement. Workflow is only at 56% complete, so SIlverfin's going to flag that to me. But if I was happy to file, I could generate a PDF preview, or as you can see, I could submit directly to Companies House from here. The other option you'll have is if you're using SIlverfin for corporation tax, you'll be able to attach this financial statement to the corporation tax return so that that all becomes part of the same submission.